Good morning, good day, and good evening to you, wherever it is you might find yourself at this beautiful moment in time. Welcome to another episode of The Wednesday Wanderer, the show where we unravel the beauty of creativity and adventure one story at a time. Today I'm super excited to be releasing this episode with Wisith Jiengwattana. Wisith is an entrepreneur in the mental wellness field living in Los Angeles, California. We dive into a lot of topics surrounding the entrepreneurial lifestyle, different job positions of sales and coming up through the ranks, coming to grips with a work-life balance so that you can feel comfortable with yourself and just that mental health, anxiety, all kinds of good topics where we just really dive into what it means to be building something and all the things that kind of come with that and the things that are really side effects from building something that you can later on be happy and be relaxed and have all this happiness over. But we really dive into the complexities of what goes into that from the beginning stages. I'm super excited for this, and I hope you guys like this as much as I do. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. And we are good to go. We are here with Wisith today. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name, and I don't want to butcher
worries.
it. So
it's Jiengwattana.
Okay, I totally would have gotten that really wrong.
No worries, man.
So Wisith is in the mental wellness game. Mm-hmm. So basically, if you want to go ahead and just kind of talk about what it is that you do and just kind of vaguely, like, you know, what it is you do.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a distributor for a company that my friend started, also in Orange County, California. Mm-hmm. So we're 1 year in. It's Amari Global. We make all natural mental wellness products. Mm-hmm. So using stuff like plant extracts and whatnot to help people feel better about themselves. Nice. So it's, stress, anxiety, people who can't sleep, people who lack energy, and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's actually really cool. I personally have a lot of understanding of those particular issues myself. I tend to deal with those a little bit myself, especially lack of sleep. That's definitely a big one.
Yeah, no, it's when I tell my friends it's mental wellness, they're like, dude, I'm not bipolar. I'm like, it's not mental illness, it's mental wellness, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're sleeping 5 hours, how could we maximize those 5 hours? Make sure that you're getting like deep stage 3 and 4 and REM sleep, as opposed to just like waking up every half an hour, and just taking care of yourself more better.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool, man.
Yeah, man.
So, what got you started in mental wellness?
Yeah, dude. So, to backtrack a little bit, right? So I grew up. Well, I was born in Thailand, so came here when I was 9 with my mom in '94. And we were like upper middle class back home and came here. My mom just like packed some bags and grabbed me and just like, crossed over the water. And within 2 weeks, I was like, well, don't speak English, or I'm in a foreign land. We became poor pretty quickly because no jobs were lined up or anything. So growing up, money wasn't around. Right. So when I went to school, I was like chasing the money, right? And when I got out of college, me and my close friends at the time, it became like a pissing contest where it's like, Pat, how much you making? Like 40, right? And so I found my recipe in my 20s where if you stay at one company, you might get like, just to get like a 3% raise, you got to be like super Jesus on terms of efficiency, right? And I kind of found out by mistake that if you jumped around a little bit, you get a bigger pay raise. Right. So that was kind of what I did. I jumped like 6-7 times in my 20s, and the money was good, and some places were better than others, but again, I was chasing the money. Right. So in my late 20s, I was at a job where I was working loads of hours, and it wasn't my favorite job. And I went to work or whatever, and I had already worked out, right? So I was like, man, kind of stressed out, kind of depressed, but I wasn't sure if I can feel that way because from the outside, like I'm 27, 28, right? No debt, like educated, good paying job. Like, what am I sad about, right? Yeah. So I just kept it inside, and one day I woke up and my right side, like it just locked up, and I couldn't move my arm, and I was really scared. I'm like, man, like the day before I was doing pull-ups, right? Yeah. So I drove myself to the ER, and a doctor said like the right side is very inflamed, and I told him like I do computer work, I don't really do much else, right? And he asked me if I was stressed, and I asked him like they're related. And he gave me Norco, which is painkiller. So I was in bed for 3 weeks, And I kind of like at that point I kind of look back in my life. I'm like, dude, I punted my years like 17 to 27. Like my friends went to Coachella, EDC. I didn't do that stuff, right? Because I was like, man, I'm just gonna kill it in school, and you know, and that was my my path to kind of a better life. And I had a second thought, and you know, I learned to take care of myself better mentally. So like things like I didn't know about the nutrition back then, but I knew about just like being happy for what you have. So like gratitude walks, you know, keeping journals, just like loving yourself more, right? So, you know, I quit that job and I went to a nonprofit to only working 40 hours a week. And, you know, and ironically enough, it was a cancer hospital. So like I saw people who were dying and like they had all the money in the world, right? Because we're a nonprofit, we had to be one of the best ones in the country. Because the hospital operates solely on donation and grants, right? So it made me like, man, like this guy has all the money and he has a priest like doing kind of a prayer before he goes in for the operation, because after the cancer gets cut out, it's still not a guarantee that he would survive. So that also it made me appreciate life more, and it made me feel like you have to live your life on your own terms, right? Because you don't want to be 70, 80 thinking back like what if. So like different things led me on a different journey, but that was how I got interested in the mental health aspect. I still didn't know much, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put like myself first before anything else, because like the money's no good if you're not in a good condition yourself.
Also, if you don't put yourself first, whenever people are eventually listening to what you have to say, you're only going to spread what you have. So although you may have money, if you have all this stress that's literally killing you, you can only spread what you have. So if you're a corporate CEO, you're going to spread what you have. And you're going to spread that stress along with that portion of the money. It all comes together, you know? Honestly, I think that personally, the only way that you can truly be happy, in my opinion, I don't think it is possible to be happy and work for someone else if you're creative. And like if you have, and that's not to say that if you're working for someone else, you're in the wrong, because you got to start somewhere. Like you got to pay the bills, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But I think personally that it is impossible to be genuinely happy, like with all encompasses of the word happy, because even if you say that you like your job and you're having fun, okay, well, what about your family? Do you not want to spend time with them? Are you comfortable with the fact that you spend 8 hours a day somewhere else? You know, the best parts of every single day, working for someone else's dream that you didn't even think up? I don't think that's a good idea, like personally. Like that sounds like a hell to me. You know? So it's like I definitely 100% agree with what you were saying about like how the being in an office like causing that stress, and like even though you're like, oh, is that related? Absolutely, 100% related. And it's funny you mentioned that, because most of my friends were, growing up, they were older than me based on my interests, because I like cars, you know, watches and things like that. So when I bought certain cars, I would go online and they would have like an online like, you know, group, right, for that particular car. So like at 21, 22, my friends were like in the late 20s, and I never got like one of them. He was like, dude, like, and this guy was pretty well off. Like he, you know, lives in Beverly Hills, works in Century City, and it's like, you know, I walked up to my boss and said, quit. I was like, dude, like, you have a good paying job, you have my dream car. And this was like me in college talking to him, right? And it's like, yeah, man, there's been times where I slept in the office, bro, like, you know, just because of deadlines, and I couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't get it at the time what he was going through until I went through it. And there were times where I'm like, I'm gonna quit, man. Dude, I mean, it also comes down to this really simple fact, and I don't know if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. He talks about this all the time. The number one currency and the number one value in the world is attention. Money doesn't mean squat, because you can go out on Craigslist, pick up a bunch of free shit, and turn it around on eBay for thousands of dollars in a single week. Like, money doesn't mean anything. That just means you know what to do and how to please the right people. You know what I mean? Like, if you can get attention, though, I think that is where, like, even money comes with that. You know, it's like if you have people's attention, just to break it down with the numbers, if you have 1 million people, and I think I've mentioned this on another one of the episodes too, if you have like 1 million people that watch one video, right? And those, or that they're subscribed to you and they watch every video that you put out, like because they believe in you, you know, they're subscribed to your brand, even 100,000, let's not even just say a million. Okay, if every one of those people only one time donated $1 to your company,
there you go, man.
Because well, no, what I'm saying is if that's what you asked for, was you asked for money, you would only have $100,000. But if you ask for their loyalty because you're providing value and you're getting their attention, not their dollars, you're getting those hundreds of thousands of views with every single project that you put out. You throw an ad in there once every now and then. Money's covered.
Yeah, I think Gary, he does he has such a huge following, right? So, growing up, I love sneakers like Jordans and Nikes and whatnot, and he does collabs with K-Swiss, right? Yeah. So, I think he came out to LA a couple of times and he had like a signing, and I saw the videos. I'm like, dude, like that was like a major, like it was like a Jordan Quick Strike release, right? Yeah. And I don't think it could have been K-Swiss. It could have been a different brand, but because it's Gary,
I think it was K-Swiss.
Yeah, it was K-Swiss. I was just mentioning that he could have picked different partners, right?
Oh, right.
So it could have been like brand X instead of K-Swiss because K-Swiss doesn't have any brand ambassadors besides Gary, right? But I think he provides so much value, right? And he talks about that like the 51-49 rule, where it's always just to provide more value than what you ask for.
Absolutely.
Because, and he said himself, it's like, dude, I come up with a book every 2 years, and if you don't want to buy my book, just listen to like the stuff I put out every day. It's just kind of like, kind of crammed into like a book for $25, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can't pay for the seminars, go on YouTube.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you can't pay for the audiobook, go on YouTube. Yeah. If you don't know where to start, listen to the podcast. Yeah. Whatever. Like it doesn't matter. The cool thing, and one of the things that I highly actually admire about his style is it validated my knowledge of the social media industry. So for me, it validated my understanding of how the platforms interact with one another and how the strings are kind of connected. Yeah. Because a little bit about me, I actually built a social media department for the Google ad agency that I work for now. Basically, when I started there, we were just doing websites and SEO. Right. And because of what I built, we now do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. Nice. With hundreds of clients, actually we're in the thousands now, all across North America. And it's really fun, and I've definitely harped to my bosses, to my people that we have come on with us, the partners that we have, I harp on it all the time that if you're not on every platform, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. If you are authentically trying to build a business for yourself and build a legacy for yourself, by not being on a platform, you're choosing to cut out people. Right. You're pointing to someone, you're saying you're not worth my time. I'm not giving you any value. Right. That's what you're doing, because each platform houses different people, right? So you might have the moms on Pinterest, and that might be how they consume and how they are natively seeing content. Right. So if you're not posting on Pinterest, you don't exist to them. Exactly. And same thing, if it's a young teenage boy and you're trying to make content that's relevant to a young teenage boy, you have to go where they're at. You know what I mean? And unless your content is specific to one type of person, I guess, maybe I can understand only being on one platform. But even then, if your demographic is 18 to 25 year olds, that they're on every platform. Yep. But statistically, they're only on one or two platforms at a time. Right. So if you're not on all of them, then you don't have their attention. Absolutely. Because the ones that they use, you're not there. And if you're not there, then you don't exist. Yeah. And that's harsh. It's not existing is a lot worse than a bad sentiment. Yeah, I hear you, man. Absolutely. So what is the hardest part? I know you were saying before that you do some company distribution for mental health, the products for the mental wellness stuff. Are you building something as well on your own outside of that, for your brand, or is that really just kind of the focus with what you've been doing with it? That's the focus, right? So, when I first started, because it's the product is the product, right? Right. I'm a distributor, and there are others as well, and I think the story is what captured the audience, right? Gotcha. So as I went along, I started I think I picked this niche because before this I was doing other things too, right? I did e-commerce. I did I built websites and SEOs for small businesses, right? But I made some amazing friends from social media, right? Just organically, right? And my closest friends came from online, because I was really introverted in college. And my friend who built this company, I found him on Instagram, right? Wow. Yeah. So how with Instagram, if you like certain pictures, they'll be oh, this guy likes cars. Maybe you should follow these guys, right? Yeah. So they recommended that guy to follow, who became my mentor, and I saw his profile.
And it was different. It wasn't like the typical like car and watches or like, you know, with the girls. It was like him and like his kids, right? Him like, you know, with quotes and stuff. I'm like, man, okay. And he is in Orange County, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna like spend some time to like draft up like 2 paragraphs about myself. And it's not just like, hey, bro, like what you do to get those cars, right? Yeah. It was like, hey, man, like, you know, I dig your page and very like personalized. So I shot him a DM. And he replied. I'm like, whoa, he replied, right?
Yeah, dude.
So it went back 2-3 times. And
it goes down in the DMs. It absolutely 100%
dude, it's like
organic.
It's funny. I'll circle back to this a little bit. But so like he asked for my phone number, and I was like, dude, can I just buy you lunch one day to hear your story? I'm only an hour north, right? And it kind of died off. I'm like, okay, cool. He replied. And then a week later, I got a call from Orange County area code, and I thought it was a job recruiter, right? Because I'm still very like skilled in what I do in my professional life. And it was him. Like we talked for an hour and very in-depth conversation. Yeah. And he said, you know, I have a mentorship program. And at this time, I was like, huh, interesting. I never had a mentor before. Yeah. Right? So I came down and I didn't know what to expect. And like he came in and he's sitting across the table, and like it was like the most in-depth conversation I ever had. He talked about his life, his struggles, and I told him like, dude, like you know, like this is the first time I'm meeting you face to face. And it was like, yeah, man. He showed me a video on TED Talk on Dr. Brene Brown. It's called The Power of Vulnerability, and she mentions that the people who are truly happy embrace themselves, like they embrace their past, good, bad, whatever. You can't just, as human beings, you can't just block them like I'm gonna be happy all the time, right? Yeah. And that changed the way I interact with people. I adapt the same mentality where because I was ashamed of my past, a certain part when we have any money, I used to block those out unless you were my good friends, right? But if my story could impact you, just like how his story impacted me, like I'm all for it, man.
Absolutely, yeah. And you got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's like, although at the time it may have been painful, looking back, you're not living that now. Yeah. You know, now you're living on the opposite spectrum, and you can look back and say, oh yeah, I used to be there. Yeah. So all of those people that have that excuse where they say, oh, I can't do this because I'm an immigrant. I can't do this because I don't have any money. I can't do this because I don't understand the language people around me are speaking. Oh, guess what?
It's been done.
I did it. So you can do it. Yeah. You know, it's like, it's been done. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
I think it's absolutely important to share those stories.
Absolutely. To inspire the next generation for one, but also just to celebrate and show that it can be done, right? Whatever your hardships are. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So I met with him like every month for 2 hours, and it was like, man, I used to prepare notes for like hours, right? Because it's mostly me talking, and you don't realize how much stuff you talk for 2 hours. I have my notes and talking. And one day, like I asked him, like, what are you guys doing in back? Because at this time the company wasn't launched yet. They were still making their formulations and whatnot. And he told me about it, and you know I fell in love with the mission. So and I was like, man, like I'm not sure if I want to jump on, because at this time I was getting clients to come on with my social media thing, right? And I thought that, you know, at worst, if I suck at sales, I make $0. I still have I enjoy the conversation on mental wellness, especially to the younger crowd, right? So if I can just let them know that, man, like whatever you guys are going through, like it's okay not to be okay, right? If you're 26 and you just end up like with a long relationship that's done, you felt like you wasted 6 years of your life, bro. You're only 26. Yeah, like, you still got years and decades to live, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, honestly, even if you're 50, you still have
absolutely
years and decades to live. So it's like there's never an excuse, because you don't know how much time you have left until you just don't wake up.
Absolutely,
so
man.
If you woke up this morning, you should be doing something. It's like there's not really a reason, unless you physically cannot. Yeah. Because you literally are laying in a bed and you cannot move because of some sickness or whatever. Like you just physically cannot. Right. Sure, that is the one excuse.
Absolutely.
And even then, there are people that have that issue and have still come out successful on the other end.
Yeah, it's
even then with that. There was a girl that just died recently. It was super sad, and I don't remember what her name was, but I watched a couple of her videos on YouTube before. I was really sad to find out that she died, because she had just gotten like a lung transplant. So she had like this really intense lung disease or whatever, and she had to like wear tubes and stuff. And like everything pointed to like she was going to die basically, and she lived for a lot longer than she thought she was going to, and made a lot of really good motivational content, and like was always providing value and like helping other people. Like this girl's on her deathbed, and she's worried about what can I do for other people.
Amazing stuff, man.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and I think honestly that is the root of all success. I don't think that there's any authentically successful people. And when I say authentically successful people, I mean success that can't be taken away.
Yeah.
Because there is successful people that have been really shitty to other people and take advantage of people, and that's how they make their money.
Yeah,
that's definitely a thing. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's definitely a thing. But that goes away.
Yep.
It's like you may be doing good right now, but give it 5 more years when everything is transparent because everything is on the internet and you can look at a person. And because I have smart glasses on, in 2020, they should have smart glasses. Like everything that I've read says that Apple, Google, and a third-party company are all coming out with. I don't know what the other company is. It's probably like Samsung or something like that.
Yeah.
But a third-party company is coming out with wearable AR and full AR everywhere smart glasses. That's what I've read, at least.
Kind of scary.
And a bunch of blogs, yeah. So essentially, you have to realize, like, for one, if you're not on social media, whenever that database goes live, you won't exist, and people won't be able to interact with you, so they won't be interested in you because they'll think you're irrelevant because time will have moved forward, So that's something to be on the wary of, to keep in mind of as far as the technologies and everything go. But think about this. If I have smart glasses on, I can look at you, and whenever this thing recognizes your face, right next to your face, I'm looking at your social profiles.
Yeah.
Right next to your face, I'm seeing exactly what you think and what you feel. So if you're a shitty person, you come up to me and you try to be nice and smile and, hey, let me get what I want. And I'm looking at you and I see all this stuff that you've done.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Have a good life. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Even, I think now, like, when people go look, like, you may be able to, like, fool someone, but even if they just blast you on, like, Yelp or whatever, it's kind of like a wrap,
Yeah.
And I think,
all it takes.
And like you mentioned, all my successful friends, they're the most giving people I know, right? So this guy, my mentor, he's one day he said, like, thank you for allowing me to come on your journey. I was like, bro, like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm at the beginning, you're already here, right? So like that was like very like refreshing to me because no one has ever said that. So through him, I learned a lot of self-development.
Right.
So like, I believe in law of attraction now, just being nice to people just for the sake of being nice.
Yeah.
So if my conversation or compliment can make your day better, I'm all for it, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about, I learned that if you have like big goals, you can't do it by yourself, right? You have to have like a team with you.
Right.
But then you also have to help those people get to their end goal,
Exactly.
So it's like a moving block.
Exactly, because everyone has their own inhibitions and everyone has their own place, and it's not always the same.
Absolutely.
So like there are people out there that their life goal dream is to go to a place, clock in, get on their computer, and do something for somebody else's business that they believe in.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. That is 100% okay.
Yeah.
But then there's other people that what they want is to go out and create their own thing, or to go out and like pursue their own passion, or like be an influential, like, what I mean, like having a hand like in what actually is being put out there. There's different spectrums, there's completely different sides of that, and that's totally cool.
I think it's what Gary said, it's knowing what you want in life. Like you mentioned, like if you're happy with your life right now, like you're at the end goal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're not happy, then you owe it to yourself to kind of step back and see like what you can say and see what you can do to change that.
Absolutely. And if you don't, then you're just like, you are the at the point that you realize that you're not happy. If you are not happy the next day, again, going outside of like a mental illness where like you can't control it and you're literally experiencing emotions and stuff that aren't because of your life and your experiences. I totally get that. That's the thing, that is out there. If you're not happy the next day, it's your fault. Plain and simple. Like, you may have an excuse the first time that you realize that you're not happy.
Yep.
And you say, I'm not happy because blah, 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 blah. But the next time that you wake up in the morning, if you're still not happy, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Because for 24 hours, you decided to sit around and not do anything about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I do like it's funny because I always have these thoughts. But one day I was like, man, I'm just going to make a little short video and post them up.
Yeah.
And it's like, kids like, dang.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of deep.
That's
man.
what I was gonna say. Actually, I would actually very much so recommend that, like with what you're talking about and your story and stuff. I don't know how much personal branding stuff you've done as of right now, like just for your as your name. I would highly recommend that you start doing that.
Yeah,
personally, just because with the way that your mentality is, where you kind of jump and jump and jump depending on like what you're passionate about at the time.
Yeah.
The reason Gary Vaynerchuk is successful is because he's always been Gary V.
Right.
It didn't matter if he was doing wine or he was doing marketing or he was the business guy or he was investing or whatever.
Yeah.
He was still Gary V.
Yeah.
So it was like you know what I mean? So like people believe in him.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what he's doing. It's like what distribution platform that he's choosing to share his message in at that time doesn't matter. It's just that's just the outlet, you know?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because back in like 2012 or 13, I made a website, right? It was just myname.com, Wisith.com.
Yeah, I checked it out. It was pretty nice.
Yeah,
actually.
so with that one, it was just fashion stuff, right? Because that's how I made some of my closest friends. It was just through our interest in fashion and their internet. And I used Weebly at the time because it was like super, like I was driving to work.
I remember Weebly.
Yeah, dude, I drove to work and I called them. I think they were like in Phoenix, so they were like in the US, right? And I was like, at this time, like I had questions like, hey, I want a website, but I don't know how it works. Like, oh, you need a domain and you need a host, right? Before I parked my car, like she built everything for me to scratch. I'm like, oh crap. Okay. So after a year, and it was like I didn't make money off it. That wasn't the goal. It was just to transfer my content from Tumblr onto my own website.
Right.
And I didn't. And at its peak, I was getting probably 10K hits per month, right? And
that's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, and it was like I didn't pay for it. It was just like my outfits, my thoughts on fashion, whatever. And I didn't realize that people poach websites, domains with high traffic rates. Yeah. So when it expired, I was gonna renew the next day or day after, but like when it was expired, like someone bought it, right?
Yeah, you got to auto.
So so like they, I was like, man, that's
actually an industry on and of itself. Like you can make thousands of dollars literally just buying clever domains.
Yeah, I think the biggest story with sex.com, like someone bought it for I think $1 million back in 2005 or so.
Yeah, because when they came out with domains, somebody was like, I'm gonna get that one. I know somebody's gonna want it. They probably spent like $12 on it.
Yeah,
if that. Yeah, and then it's like. The companies that actually want to use it are like, damn it, we got to pay this person.
Yeah. Like, so I was like, man, and I was like, you know what, you can keep Wisith.com. So I just like do Wisithj.com.
Right.
And it kind of worked out because with Instagram, like I didn't get on Instagram until later because I was on Tumblr, right? My friend's like, dude, just get on like Instagram and just post the same crap. So I try to use my handle name, like my first name, Wisith, but it was taken up by a Wisith back home. I was like, oh man. And like I'll just do like Wisith J, right?
Right.
So it kind of matched up now, but like as far as the branding, like I'm not a mental wellness expert. I don't have any certs in this field. Yeah. So I just kind of I use a platform to talk about like stuff that interests me and how like like
and that's what I was saying. Building a brand around you and like what you're interested in and like your life as passions. Yeah. Because then if the thing that you're selling goes from being mental wellness to something else, like years from now, you don't have to change any of this stuff. Yeah. You're still presenting yourself and your brand and you're getting your audience. But instead of saying, "Oh, and I'm doing mental wellness. That's what I'm doing, guys. This is the thing I'm in." Yeah. You can be like, "This is my story. This is my brand, and then this is the thing I'm in." Now it's apples instead of oranges or whatever.
Yeah, and it's more fun too because like I'm just this guy's in his early 30s. I talk about my story. I have my videos up there. It's pretty transparent, and and I talked about like I talked about like back in like 4 or 5 years ago I had a website and I met good friends from it, and like they flew to LA to hang out, and we flew to different parts, and I had pictures to kind of like capture it and whatnot. Right. And I talked about how like how we're talking now, how my struggles through my late 20s and like self-development. Now I talk about like just living your life on your own terms. I talk about like my mentor inspired me to give back how I can. So like I do charity work, right? I talk with the kids, just like different blog and contents like that, and it's fun, man. I'm not sure. I mean, like it's. The hard part is getting traffic to it organically, but hopefully. Soon.
Honestly, I think your best bet, from my own personal the way that I brand everything, would probably be social media distribution. Yeah. So like, you want to think of every social media platform as a distribution channel, right? So instead of it being just a fun website that you use, or instead of thinking of it as a website, you want to think of it as a platform, because a platform sets you apart from the rest of everything else, right? So it's like basically you go on Google and everything is on the same level,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and obviously there's peaks every now and then from like AdWords and like paying to boost yourself and
Right.
organic rankings and SEOs, and so it's varied, but it's like an ocean, you know, it's basically all the same level, even though there's a couple of waves in there every now and then. And then you have social media, which is a platform on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
and so literally you're standing outside of the scope of the ocean. So like you have everything that is on that platform is easily seen. It's above the water. It's above everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But every platform is its own entity. So like essentially the best way that I can think of to like analyze it and like give you an analogy basically is if you're in the middle of the ocean, right, and it's pretty much calm, you know, in the middle of the ocean, you can think of like these like different shaped pillars. So like maybe one's a star, one's a circle, one's a square, you know, like when you're a kid and you do like the squares, you know, that kind of
match
thing.
the shape to put the
exactly.
Yeah.
Like imagine like platforms like that sticking up out of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And so like that's what they're like. It's like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you want to be on the star platform, you got to do the star stuff. If you want to be on the circle platform, you got to do the circle stuff. And it's the same concept.
Right.
Like a star shape doesn't go in a circle hole.
Right.
So like if you put Twitter content that's only 140 characters or 260 characters or whatever it is now, and that is the same content you're putting on Facebook, which basically doesn't have a limit, and it's all about context and writing out exactly what you're thinking, it's not going to play well.
Yep.
Because you wrote it for Twitter.
Yeah.
It might do well on Twitter, but it's not going to do well on Facebook because you didn't write it for Facebook.
Yeah.
You have to actually take into account the audience that you're trying to reach.
Yep. And I think that's the hard part, right? Because we talk about it like it's a simple process, but on the back end, like I have friends who they only do Instagram, they only run Instagram pages, right?
Right.
So one of them, like super brilliant kid, like it's funny because like when people, I know that when you hashtag certain hashtag on Instagram, you get followings, right? Because people they're like, oh, if you hashtag like Los Angeles or entrepreneur, let's follow them, right?
Yeah.
And then like they'll do the
people search just for hashtags and then go like down an explore page for that
exactly.
hashtag.
So my thing is like if you follow me and your page is cool, like I'm gonna like, hey, I know you follow me. I looked at your website. You're a cool dude. Like, what's your story, right? I love the connection. And I know some people do what's called honey potting, right? Where it's like they follow you and you feel bad and you follow them back, and like 5 days later they'll unfollow you. So right. So like it happens and whatever. But like if you follow me, I'll try to form like a really like an organic relationship, right? So that's how I met this dude.
That's really unique, actually.
Yeah.
I don't even do that personally. Like, I mean, I form an authentic relationship, as in like I am taking into account that when I get a like or I get a view, even a view, it doesn't have, they don't even have to actually interact with it. But literally, you know, it shows you the views that you get.
Yeah.
Just getting a view, I'm actually putting myself in their perspective. So I'm thinking, I'm sitting on the couch, I'm scrolling through Instagram.
Yeah.
What am I going to actually look at?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I follow people like Peter McKinnon and Chris Howe, Gary Vee, Casey Neistat, like all kinds of creators from all different perspectives and like levels of like success and where they're at and like what they're trying to accomplish and stuff like that. And like I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, when I'm scrolling through, like what posts do they have where I'm like, where I actually stop and I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool, let me read the caption on that. Right? Okay, so what was it about the photo that made me stop to read the caption?
Yeah.
And if the caption's good enough to get me to comment, what about that caption was good enough to get me to comment? So you actually reverse engineer from the post, right? So you actually got to think like, person reading it, what kind of person is that? What do they like? And what would make them stop when they're just scrolling? Because the average person is just scrolling. Like they're not going to stop and actually look at it. They're just going to scroll and look at it and keep going.
Yep.
So it's like, what's going to make them stop? Double tap. Okay. And are they going to keep going, or are they going to click, and are they going to engage?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you want to actually think from like what you want. It kind of going all the way back to what you were saying. You have to know your goals and know your plan, like where it is you want to end up before you can really get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It literally is life, but like times 100 and all out in the open for everyone to see. That's all social media is. And when you figure that out and you figure out that it's basically just a video game version of life, it's really easy to beat. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But like I think what you mentioned, right? So like going back to the kid I connected with, he was like, yeah, I'm 23, 24. Like he's big on Gary Vee too. So he does like social media agency, but for Instagram only.
Oh,
and
nice.
he has like, I mean, at 24, he had like 5 employees under him, right? And it's like, yeah, we branded a dentist, and I was picking his brain. It's like before we launched her page, we had about 2 months of content ready to go, right?
That's what I do too.
Yeah, and it was like, dentist is like, no one, like for the most part, when you go to a dentist because you have to, like your toothache or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So how can we brand her? So like we talk about her hobbies, like I think they bought like some oversized prop, like a big tooth and a toothbrush to kind of do like educational tidbits, right?
Right.
So that's like the jab, with Gary Vee. So like I was like, man, like it's people just think like, oh, I'm just gonna take some pictures and hashtags and like I'm a social media like manager or whatever, right? Like you just like that's just like a lot of science behind it.
There is, yeah. I actually do it in 13-week seasons is what I do. So like I have an entire Excel CSV spreadsheet basically that I created, and it might be out actually by the time that this podcast airs.
Got it.
But I'm currently working on a video for my Thursday series, which is the tutorial series for my weekly videos, the Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Okay.
On pretty much any, well, not pretty much, on any platform you can watch a video on.
Right.
Basically, one of the videos is actually a breakdown and a walkthrough of how to use it, and it's sharing it so that everyone can download it and use it for free.
Right.
But essentially what I did is I broke it down into 13-week segments, because essentially if you take a whole year of content divided by 4, that's 13, right? So that makes it super chewable. You've got 4 chunks of content over the course of an entire year, right? So if you're posting every single day for 13 weeks, that's 91 posts. So just not, I mean, how long does it take you really to do a post?
Yeah.
It doesn't take you a whole day to do one post.
Yep.
So if I can take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, let's just be generous and say a month, right? And I can do 91 posts, which just if you're not great at math on the listening end, that's just 3 a day basically.
Yeah,
like literally you could just be super lazy that entire month and just do like 3 posts a day, where you just go on your computer and you just type some stuff out to a picture that you think is cool, that you picked out, that you took or whatever, right? You do that for 91 photos, and then you store those away, and you use like and then you use a scheduler, so like something that can schedule out content in advance and post it. So like I use Sendable. So it's like you can put it up on there, and then like I have my entire year of content already done. You know what I mean? Like I've already gone and taken photos, and I've already gone and done content, and I've done all this stuff, and then you upload it to Sendable for the future, right? So then it's like next Thursday, instead of going on my phone, logging in, clicking this, clicking that, uploading the photo, typing it all in, it just goes out, right? Because
awesome,
I've already done that on the other end.
Yeah.
And so what I do is in 13 weeks, like I said, is I use the CSV, and it has the content, has links, shout outs, hashtags, all that in different sections and stuff. And it's literally just drag and drop, and then you export that CSV directly into Sendable. And then that's an entire like a whole quarter of content.
Got it.
Basically you do that 4 times, right? And if we just said if it only takes you a month, then that means you would produce once every single day for an entire year. You would finish that content. If you only did 3 every day and it took you a whole month to do, a quarter at a time, you would literally be done in the first quarter. You would have your entire next year of content done.
Right.
Like 365 days. And then for the next 365 days, instead of waking up and stressing out and being like, crap, what am I going to post today? I've already got a post going out. Right. So if I can't be creative and actually come up with something that day, that's fine. Maybe they only get 1 post today. And then tomorrow when I come up with something, they get 2 posts. Yeah. Because I came up with something. That one went out at like 11, and then later on at like 2, maybe I actually posted something, or I uploaded a video, so they got an extra post or whatever. Right. So it's like, the way that I like to think of it is you're setting like a base coat, so it's like you definitely, when you're building a brand, you want to have a base coat of content. So like you want to break it down to the most vanilla, like easiest to comprehend version of what it is that you're doing or branding, whatever message that you have to share the world. What I do is I use quotes, right? So it's a really simple, really easy way to build out like your template of like I said, a base coat where you're at least getting the 1 post every single day. And you can post more other things if you want to. But what I do is I find 365 quotes that I really like, right? And then I get my take on all 365 on them. So on the post, you've got the quote, and then underneath it, you've got my interpretation, what I think of that quote.
Got it.
Right? So it's super simple. You know, it's like you just pick a bunch of quotes, talk about that quote and how it relates to your life, your brand, and your vision. So literally, you're just going to read it and think, how does this relate to what I'm trying to tell people? Type a couple sentences out. Boom. There you go.
It's awesome stuff, man.
Every single day for a whole year. And that's all you got to do. Like, and that is a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you just click your fingers and it's done. Like, the biggest part is getting the photos. You know, you got to get out there and take pictures or go online and download stock images. But like, honestly, if you're just building a brand that's not specific to a person, like not particularly like it's got to be your face.
Yeah.
You could throw in stock images. Like, that's why they exist. You know, there's stock image websites where you can either pay for them, get them for free. Like, you can go to Pixabay and get thousands of photos literally for free without spending a single dime. Yeah. And it's like high res, like 4K good photos. Yeah. You know? So it's so easy. You know, like it seems harder than it is. Yeah. But literally all it is like I was saying a second ago, is just life, but on a bigger scale. Yeah. And that's really all it is, I think.
Yeah. So going back, I know that you sharing out your content in advance, right? So to fill up your pipeline, you have to interview people and whatnot. How do you find people to interview, and how do you kind of weed them out, for lack of a better word?
Yeah. So I've been using a bunch of apps recently, actually. So like Shaper, Bumble, that kind of thing. I also use Instagram, you know, reach out to people that I like and DM them and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But actually what my strategy has been recently is I've just been hitting Shaper and Bumble business super heavy and just giving every single person that I talk to an opportunity to be on the show. Like, the way that I look at it is everyone has a passion. Everyone has a creative story. And unless you just don't want to talk about your life, which most people like talking about themselves, so... yeah, it's not a really common thing for someone to just not really want to say anything at all. Yeah, yeah. Like, it doesn't even have to be about your brand, you know? It's like, we can talk about whatever. You know, like, I had one guy on here, and literally the whole time, we talked about his brand for, like, 15 minutes. And then for the rest of the whole time, we were talking about, like, other stuff that was just, like, going on in the world, you know? Because, I don't know, the way that I look at it is I like to capture... like an authentic first interaction. Got it. And I think I may have mentioned this on our phone call whenever we talked, but like for those of you that don't know, whenever I record these episodes, the only interaction that I have with any of the guests that come on the show is I talk to you one time on the phone. That's it. Yeah. The reason is I want to be able to actually meet you and talk to you and have that captured. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that way too many times you've already gotten like a list of questions, and it's like I've already read all your bios and everything you've ever done, and like we go into it and we don't learn anything. We're just blurting out all the stuff that we've learned about each other or that we think is interesting over the course of the interview. And it's like, that's lame, you know? It's like I want to actually be entertained and actually be interested. Like you say something, I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, and then get to go into it and like give you what I think about it. Like, I just think that's awesome. Yeah, you know, that perspective bouncing back and forth.
That's cool, man. It's like, I guess if you were to take like a GoPro to a Starbucks and just talk to random people and just have the camera record it. Yeah.
I've never done that, but I would do that. Like for my video stuff when I'm out and about. Like if I saw someone, I'd be like, hey, what's up? You know, if they want to come talk, they want to come talk. That's cool, you know? It's I love perspective, and I think that's like the most important thing, honestly. Like with this podcast, my goal is to just talk to as many different kinds of people as possible, because the way that I look at it is if I can talk to every type of person, then I can show you that at the core, my personal belief is that all people are the same, really. At the core, we're all really good people that want the best for ourselves and those that are closest to us. The difference is some people are raised getting taught how to get things in a way that is negative to the world around them, right? So maybe like you were born in another country, you were raised there, and you lived there for all these years, and you were taught like that it's okay to cut people's hands off when they steal things. And then you come to America and you start a business, That's not, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't do that. That's illegal. You'll
Yeah.
go to jail.
Yeah.
And they will not, because you cut their hand off. It doesn't matter if they stole from you. You just cut their hand off.
Yeah.
Like, you lost that argument, you know? But it's not that it's not that that person is a bad guy. That person was raised in a society where that's okay.
Yeah.
Where that is the punishment.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go to jail for it. You get your hand cut off.
Yeah.
That's how it is there.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we try to impose what we thought on them, then they would think it's just as bad as a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to capture the perspectives, you know, and really capture the fact that, like, at the core of what we are, we just want the best for life. You know, life just wants to exist.
Absolutely.
That's what I think, personally.
Yeah. Likewise, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so I'm very curious. I was going to ask you this earlier, but I was too interested in listening to your whole story and everything. When you moved here and you were just coming in from Thailand, what was it like to be in America and, like,
oh man,
it's weird to me to think about America being the foreign place. You know what I mean? Like,
so
I can go to Paris and, like, all these people are like, and it's like, I don't understand these people. Like, what are they speaking? You know, like, I can kind of think about in other places, but other places kind of speak English too. So it's like, I can't imagine coming here and not understanding anybody.
Yeah, even now, like, I think the internet like bridged the whole world, right? So like you can go to, I think, almost any, like, I can go back to Thailand and like it's Uber around, like they speak English. I mean, the proper UK English, but nonetheless you can still communicate, right? But when I came here, like it was around like October, September, like the weather was like, it was getting kind of colder. The weather was dropping down, and dude, like I kept to myself a lot, right? So I never had many friends growing up, and I don't mind. Like, I was playing like Legos and, you know, toys, and this was like the mid '90s, so like the net wasn't around, right? So like,
super interesting that you say that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, sorry to stop you, but I'm really interested in, like, the similarities between, like, types of people, you know, and like the mindset that you have. I played with Legos a lot, personally, actually. Like, whenever I was a kid, my main thing, like, my parents would literally walk in, and in 2 hours of being awake, my entire room, I kid you not, would be a Lego city.
Yeah, man.
And in the middle, I had at one point built a house that was big enough for me to fit inside of.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, inside of my Lego city. And I had, like, it was awesome. And I had, like, this huge toy car collection and stuff that I had collected, like, over time and everything. I would set them up all over the city so it looked like a real, like...
That's cool, man.
Real city. Yeah, I loved Legos. And then I got really big into MMOs and online gaming. And, building websites and just being on the computer, you know? I found, like you were saying, I've been able to connect with people easier online. Because, personally, I actually do deal with a lot of, like, anxiety. And we can circle back around to this in a minute because I want to hear the rest of what you were saying. But I deal with a lot of anxiety and a lot of, like, issues with, like, communication. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard for me personally to be interested in the, like, little things. You know, it's like the whole, like, chitter chatter back and forth BS. Like, it has its place and I totally understand it. You know, I totally get it. But for me, like, I can't help but feel like it's a waste of time, and I feel like that's very obvious. You know what I mean? Even if it's just in my head and it's just me thinking that it's obvious, I feel that the aggravation that I feel for having to sit through, like, a meaningless, like, non-impactful conversation, I feel like that comes out and people see that, you know? But when it's anything that has to do with, like, a passion and something genuine, I'm all in. You know, it's like the way that I am is I just don't put any attention to anything that I'm not 100% interested in.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. Yeah. I guess to circle back to my story.
Yeah.
No, it's so we came here, I was 9, like I was gonna turn 10 in a couple months, and like I didn't know much. Like we just got out and like we rented, this is in Thai town, so in Hollywood, and I think my mom picked LA is because there's a huge Thai population group, and also it doesn't snow here, so it's kind of like back at home. And
nice
and we lived in like a 5-bedroom house, but you share you pay for your bedroom, and it's like dorm style, right? You share a kitchen and baths. So she would like,
I actually lived in an apartment like that.
Yeah, and it's like it's built like that too. So when you go down the hallway, it's like it's not just like a house with different places. It's like a wide hallway, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a dorm pretty much.
Yeah.
So we lived there, and like, you know, I went to school, and luckily there was like a TA who was Thai, so she kind of helped me a little bit. But like the barrier, it was weird because like I would translate, the teacher would be like, "Did you do the dishes?" Like, "Do like pottery? Like make the dishes?" I'm like, "I can wash the dishes, right?"
Right.
So like the literal translation threw me off.
Yeah.
And it was a bad timing because this was in the 4th grade. So like by the time that I actually spoke decent English, it's been like 2 years, and like kids in middle school, they're kind of mean, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was kept to myself, and like I didn't. And this was the 90s, so like I like going to Kmart and Toys R Us was like a different experience, right?
Right.
It was like buying board games, like buying like like remote control cars, whatever. So I didn't mind being by myself, but we moved to different parts of LA. So I went from having friends who were at the time in Las Felix were primary Armenian and Thai to the valley in the port part in Pacoima, right? It's like late 90s, so all my friends became black and Hispanics, right?
Right.
And like I was the only Asian one, and they're like, "Oh, that's Chino." I'm like, "I'm not Chinese, but okay."
Yeah.
So like, and I was very I guess sheltered. Like I didn't know why like gangs, right? Like the shooting and stuff. Like I wasn't like what's going on?
Right.
So I grew up we grew up there for about 10 years just because my mom wanted to save money and whatnot, right? For a house and stuff. But it was a culture shock, right? Because like back in home in Thailand, like the teachers were able to hit you. If you didn't get a good grade, you would line up and like they'll get like a metal ruler and just hit you, right? And that would like motivate you to like get like A's, right?
Yeah.
Over here it's like time out. I'm like, it's punishment. That dude's taking a nap in the corner, right? So the culture shock was different, and
Isn't it safer? I maybe I'm wrong. It might be a different country, but isn't Thailand like significantly safer than like the U.S.? Like where you could like walk, for example, like if you live in a neighborhood, like walking in the street, like in the middle of the night, it's not that big of a deal. Or is that a different country?
I think it's a different country, man.
Okay.
Thailand, it's you have your safe parts, right? Like, but like in most places, you also have the sketchy parts.
It's a different country.
Yeah.
I recently saw a video about this, and somebody was talking about it.
Was it Singapore? Or no?
It could have been. It was something like, it was like one of those like in that general area of the world, it was like something like island culture or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, obviously, but whatever place it was, they were saying that like literally when they came over here, they were crazy shocked because where they're from, they could literally at like 5 o'clock in the morning, no big deal, just get up, walk out, take a walk in the neighborhood. And who cares? Nobody's gonna do anything to you. It's like here, you did what now? It's well, you better like have something on you to keep yourself safe. Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. But no, I just remembered, like, how they say, like, what's the capital of Thailand? Bangkok. Then I was like, oh, wait a second. Thailand. Like the movie from, like, The Hangover. And
it's funny.
And I started thinking, I was like, oh, wait, no, maybe not the safest place in the world.
It's funny because I saw that one. It was like part 2, right? Whatever in Thailand. I saw it actually in Bangkok. Cause,
oh, really?
Yeah, I was visiting my family and friends over there. And it's funny because, like, the humor doesn't carry over, right?
Right.
Like, there's a part when Alan was like, he went to the temple and like, this is a P.F. Shanks. And like, there's no P.F. Shanks back in Thailand, so no one got. I mean, I laughed because I got it, right? But the humor doesn't transfer too well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like a lot of cross country humor doesn't really translate very well. A lot of what you were talking about actually is a reason for that. Like, going back to French, for example, like they have multiple words for the word love. And it's like one word is like the way that you would show love to like just respect, like this interaction, like a respectful, like being nice to you. And there's another way that like I love my fiance. There's another way that I love my family members. It's like there's different words for like the different kind of ways. That it must make translation hard.
I read that like when they make films, that's why the Hollywood folks, they tend to go with like Disney movie because that's like cartoon is kind of like universal, as well as like action movies, right? Like you see like an explosion scene, it's like it's cool. But if they do like comedy, which is geared towards the American culture,
right?
Like you might get it in like here and probably the UK, but aside from that, where it's like it's very literal translation, they might not get it, so they might lose the captive audience,
right?
Unless you probably have like a good starting like cast, that's gonna pull them in.
What is I mean, you may not remember because I know you said you moved when you were young, but like, what is the comedy scene like in different countries? Like, do they have like just as big of a comedy push as we do, but like with their style of comedy?
Yeah, it's like, it's really they have it because it's it's like soap opera-ish, right? So like, you know, like here you have like the Hispanics or like the novellas. It's like over there too, but it's very dramatic, like but low budget, right? So it's more like stand-up comedy where you can do it on the fly. Like you might hit someone with a mic and you might laugh, right?
Right.
But as far as like putting out like a high-end movie, that's that was rare because you need the capital for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so at the time I remember it was like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. Just like they'll have like Whose Line Is It Anyway, like back here, right?
Right.
Kind of same similar style.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of that because it's like now that I think about it, I don't really listen or know of any comedians that like came from other countries, you know. So it's like I can't think of like how that would come. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, like the jokes don't transfer. Like they say a joke and it's like nobody laughs because nobody gets it. I can't think of like the opposite, like an example to think of that. It's like, for Americans, we pretty much just laugh at anything, I guess.
Yeah. It was like, if it's not like, you know, it was like, oh man, I'm going to hell for laughing at that one.
I've heard that statement way too many times in my life.
Yeah.
I feel that so hard. If it's possible to go to hell for laughing at things, unfortunately, that is where I'm bound.
Yeah, man.
I can't help but laugh. Like, I laugh when I get in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
So it's like, I may not even actually think it's funny, but like, I just laugh.
Yeah.
Like how I don't know.
It's like maybe like your coping mechanism, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Like I honestly, what I think it kind of comes down to as well is that and I've spoke about this on one of the episodes before, is that I'm just a joyful person. You know, it's like, and for those of you that may not have heard that other episode, basically there's a difference between joy and happiness, right? And Cody Warner talks about this on one of his videos too. That's actually where I first heard it. He was breaking it down in one of his videos. It was a really good video. I definitely recommend you check it out. But yeah, he was talking about the difference between joy and happiness. And basically, happiness is a chemical emotion that you experience. It happens to you. Yeah. Right? Joy is actually a choice that you're making. So when you're joyful, you're saying, it doesn't matter the shit that happens. It doesn't matter how many times I get hit in the face. I know where I'm going and I'm going to keep going there no matter what happens. Right? So it's saying, I'm going to look at the positive. I'm going to be positive and look at the best of the situation and like be a positive, like optimistic person. You know, that's really what the core of joy is joy is a decision. Happiness happens to you, right? Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely think it's important to employ joy and just to look at like the positive sides of what you're doing, you know, in anything, in any regards, like any capacity of what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, no, I think if you have big goals, you learn to be an optimist, because if you don't, like things are just gonna knock you down.
Absolutely.
Because
you're gonna fail.
Yeah, for sure.
You will fail.
Yeah.
Like, at something, you will fail. If you haven't yet, prepare yourself. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I asked my mentor. I asked him like, how do you stay like positive, because because he's on a large scale. Sometimes like, you know, when he loses, it's a big loss, right? Right. To the point where it's like, dude, like I'm done, man. I mean, like to a regular person, that might be like enough like of a crushing loss to like I'm closing up shop, right? Right. And he would just say like, dude, if you're going to bed and you're healthy and you have a roof over your head and you're in this country, you know like how many millions would kill to be in your shoes?
You know, actually, that's a funny statement that you make, because just by being born in America, right? So if you were born in this country and you were born American, you are statistically you are in the top 1% of the country. Yeah. Like financially. Yeah. Even if you're the poorest person in our country right now. Yeah. Like you're homeless living in America, but you're a natural born citizen. Right. You're still doing better financially. Like, obviously that there could be outliers, but statistically, you're still doing better financially than the rest of the planet. You're still in the top 1% of the planet.
Yeah, and because here it's, we were talking about, you know, Crazy Rich Asians in movie, right? Right. And it's you know, in the movie it talks about how like the mom, because they're from Singapore, right? You know, like how American of you to have dreams and whatever, right? So it's like you mentioned, like you can be a convict, get out of jail, and like you know have like a song popped off on SoundCloud, and that might get you a record deal, right? Yeah. But like, you know, back at home, like you would need a college degree to get a job at Tesco, which is the their version of like Costco, right? Right. So it's very like you can't just be like, I decide to do this thing one day. Well, maybe you can now because of the internet, but to my knowledge, right, when I grew up, it was a very like certain hierarchy. It's like, oh, you want to get to this level, you got to go to the stairs, right? Whereas here, it's like we teach like we have speakers like Bill Gates, whomever when he was still alive. Steve Jobs when he was still alive. He would talk to the college kids, like saying it's okay to fail, right? Go after your dreams. Whereas in certain cultures, like if you fail, like you messed up, dude. Like like you should be ashamed,
Right.
Whereas here, like we embrace failing because we always say like, oh, you guys can't walk before you crawl, and you're gonna fall down a couple times, right? And I bet people like who in the VC game, like they fund startups, they're like, dude, if you can find one superstar out of 10, we're happy with that 10% success rate.
Well, because it's a net gain.
Yeah.
Right. So like you can get loss, right, loss, and then have one win that not only makes up for all the losses, but then propels you further than you would have even dreamed of to begin with.
Yeah.
That's so easy. Like it all comes down to consistency.
Yep.
Because honestly, like you don't, as the person that is making the content, you don't know what's gonna work.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like you're not every person on the planet. So, and you also have to take into mind there's other people than people in your local area.
Yeah.
Than other people in your local country that are looking at your content.
Yeah.
Like people that are in China, they think your life is crazy. Right? Because like they live their lives a completely different way, and they look at the way that you live your daily life and they're like, what? Americans say what?
Yeah.
But like in a good way. It's like they're interested, like they want to learn more, because it's like you think it's boring and monotonous and it's every day and I have to go to work and clock in and I do this and I do that, and then they look at it like, what? You only work 8 hours and you come home and you spend all this time with your family and you have the weekends off and you're not worried about building something on your own, and your retirement fund is given to you regardless of if you have a son or not. Like I don't know if that's still a thing, but I know when I was a kid, like I learned like they had to have like a son.
Oh wow.
To be able to have that, like in China, like you have to have a boy to have your insurance taken care of, basically, because essentially, I don't know if this is how it is now, so I apologize if it's changed, but I remember learning whenever I was a kid that like that was the reason why you have like a lot of Chinese girls that are like adopted. If you look like kids that are adopted and like thrown out and like put out on the streets and like that kind of stuff from China, it's usually girls, because of the fact that the boys are required to basically like take care of their parents. So it's like I don't know the logistics of it, but like I'm pretty sure that like it's either a societal requirement where it's like heavy, like you have to do this, or it might even be legal where like once your parents hit a certain age, you have to let them live with you, because like that's just the dynamic. It's like you're the oldest, you're the boy. It's like, and that's it. You have to take care of your family. And that's their culture. That's their life. So it's like even that in and of itself, like I don't really talk to my family very much because they're really negative. They put me down pretty much in everything that I try to do. I have some family members that are really supportive, but a lot of them don't support me, and they never did. And if they do now, they haven't told me about it. And they the last I've heard from them, they were telling me that I couldn't even survive in California. You know what I mean? Like they literally told me that I couldn't make it enough to survive out here. They told me like never move out here because I wouldn't be able to make it. And here I am at 22 and I actually statistically looked at, here I am at 22 in the top 20% of people my age. Like financially. And
absolutely.
Like where I'm at. Like, and I'm going, and this is like, where I'm at right now is like so much of a beginning step. It's not even funny. And it's like, everyone's like, oh my God, all this stuff you're doing is so crazy. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, dude, you gotta dream big and execute, man. I think there's different ways to look at it, right? So like you mentioned, surviving in California. So because of my fashion friends, they're all around the country, right? So I have friends from Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte, Houston. So they were like, bro, if you make like X dollar in Atlanta and Houston, you're doing pretty well. So I'm like, you don't say. So back in 2012, so like I applied for jobs in any, like I was doing my formal education is in occupational health and risk management. So for a good year, I was on Indeed typing in those keywords in the USA, right? Anybody like, you want to come to Cleveland? Like, sure. LeBron came back, I'll go with him, right? So I started flying, and then all my friends were making fun of me because I grew up here, and they were like, dude, you might be the only guy in LA with a pea coat or like a top coat because I get cold easily, right? So I flew out from from Burbank, which is like at the time like 60-ish degrees, and I went to Minneapolis like minus 15, right?
Oh snap!
And I've never been in snow, so like I was taking pictures from the airport like with snow. They probably thought I was crazy, and I picked up my car and they gave me like a scraper. I'm like, what is this for? Like, oh, in case your windshield freezes. So I was like, man, I hope I don't like crash on the way to the interview. It's a bad look. So I was like driving so slow.
Oh snap!
Yeah. So nothing landed. I went on like a 4 or 5 city tour where at the time I was really close with my manager. She was like my big sister, right? And I didn't tell her what I was doing, and she knew that I'd never taken 4 or 5 days off. So she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just hanging out, right?
Just hanging out.
And then like I was talking to all these companies, and the big companies, they have travel departments. And I was like, please don't ask me why I'm not coming back to LA. I was like, can you please put me on a flight next to Houston? And because I was going like, from one company to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and come back home.
Right.
And I was like, and I did it. And at the time, I didn't get the job because I was too young, I think, and if I read between the lines, because my resume was really good, but my age was like, too young to become a manager or whatnot. But it allowed me to,
well, from their perspective.
Yeah, to look at things from different views, because people say like this state is very expensive to live on, right? Like my buddy just bought a really nice house in the suburbs of Charlotte. It was like 3-bedroom, and it was probably like a bit under 300,000, like brand new built. I'm like, dude, like to get this house and where I'm living, you probably need to add like one more zero, like 3 million, right? So people moved out and stuff like that, and I learned just to think differently. I'm like, dude, they're still making a lot of new homes. They're building like really expensive apartments. The money's out here somewhere. You can make a name for yourself and do it. It's just like, do you want to leave or not? If you don't want to leave, like how can you make it work, right?
Yeah. Well, somebody, like what you just said, somebody's making those payments.
Yeah.
They don't just jack it up to $2,000 a month to rent an apartment for nothing.
Exactly.
Like, if they're jacking it up to $2,000 a month and that's all you can find, everybody else is paying that.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
And, dude, I became like a very, in the last couple of years, as I grew personally as a person, I became an optimist, right? So like for the longest time when I was like I remember in college I worked at Circuit City, and I had this friend. He moved out here from Iowa. He's this white guy named Phil, and he wanted to become a rapper, right? But he was like really good, man. Like, and back then this was before like the current rap, like the rap I guess style where it's kind of mumble and just like trap beats.
Right.
This was like right after like 8 Mile came out a couple of years, so it was very lyricist based, and he was like he would go in, this white boy from Iowa, right, kind of chubby, and then like he would like rip everybody up, right?
Yeah.
And I never understood, because I was pre-med in school. I'm like, that's a safe bet, right? And I was like, dude, like the chance of making is like 0.1%, and it's like, gotta take my shot, bro.
Yeah.
And
you know what the chances of making it though if you don't try?
Zero, right? Anything is higher than zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I go out to LA, I'm like, man, like that dude is like really good looking, or that girl's really good looking, right? And like I talked to him like, I'm just a barista because that's the day job. Then like I'm doing my my modeling agency, and on my part time trying to crack it big. Yeah. Like you can't like, man, I can't do anything but take my hat up to them, because they're taking their stab at the at winning the lottery, right?
Also I think that percentage is very flawed. I don't believe that's a true statistic, because ultimately, sure, yeah, you may have a 1% chance of being successful or whatever, less than a 1% chance of being successful or whatever. Yeah. But like, what goal or what perspective and what measurement is that off of? Like, that I'm not going to be successful when in my lifetime before I quit? Because what I think actually happens is you have people that do it for maybe a year, 2, 3, or even 30, 40, 50. Maybe they do it for a long time, right? Yeah. But then you're 60 years old and you decide, I can't do this. You give up. And then you would have made it at 61. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, sure, yeah, it's less than a 1%, but that's because people win right at the end. Yeah. Like, it's called the 10-year overnight success. Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, absolutely. It's like what you were saying. It's pretty much the story of Jack Ma, right? The guy who founded Alibaba.com and Colonel KFC. Like, I think like they ate crap for many, many years and decades. It wasn't until like in the latter stage of their life where they had success.
Absolutely. Like right now with the progression of the podcast, initially I had to eat a lot of shit. Yeah. really bad because I don't have any episodes up.
Yeah.
My entire strategy revolves around having 13 episodes that are done, right? So same as the content posting strategy. Basically, the way I broke it down is if I'm having one episode comes out every single week, regardless, every single week, then again, you can break it down into 4 13-week segments or seasons, right? So once I have 13 of these episodes done, that's when the first episode's going to go out. And that's the first, for the world's perspective, that's the first thing that I've done.
Right.
But in reality, I've been doing all this work and putting in all these interviews, and I'll have done, like, that 13 interviews is a lot.
Yeah.
I'll have recorded, edited, and have ready to upload 13 episodes when the first episode goes out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, it's not overnight, you know? It's like whenever those episodes start coming out every single week and it's consistent and I never miss a beat, and everyone's like, oh my god, that's so much work. How do you maintain all the things that you do and still have an episode go out every week? Because I know it's going to happen. They're going to be like, oh, well, that's not possible. How do you make videos and do 3 complete different videos? Which my logic on that, I'll get into here. I'll circle back on that in a second. But 3 different videos and a podcast, and you're doing your agency, and you're doing the marketing for that agency. How, like, where do you get all this time? It's because I'm putting in the work before you're ever seeing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm doing all this work to make sure that I never have to have one of those crappy videos that says, sorry guys, you don't get a video this week because I just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
That'll never happen.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have the time, I'll just pull from my archives, and I have 13 videos that I can pull from.
Yep.
And that builds faster than they go out, right? So, like, I may have 13 videos, but, like, it's not going to take 13 weeks to record 13 more videos. Like, if I do a video every day for a week, right, it only takes me 2 weeks to fill out the rest of the videos for another season, you know? So it's like, if I take, like, 2, 4, 6 weeks, then that would be an entire year of videos. Yeah. Just making videos every day for 6 weeks. And that's if I was only able to do one a day, which is not actually realistic, because in reality, I would sit down and I would batch record. So it's like, if I know I'm going to do all this at once, I might have like a couple outfits picked out, sit in front of the camera and do that, pick another outfit, sit in front of the camera and do that one, and then, you know, just do all the videos like right there at once.
Absolutely,
it's like, man. There is a lot of work that goes into it. And for what I was saying, you know, going back to eating shit, it's like, I've had a lot of, like, I don't want to say higher up people, because I don't think that really anyone is higher up than anyone else, because the attention is just on them right now. Yeah. Right? Because that could change overnight, and they could lose all their followers, and they could all go to somebody else. So it's like, for right now, people that think that they're better than other people, basically, I've had issues where their interactions are all based on, like, oh, well, what do you currently have? Yeah. Oh, well, what videos do you have? Like, they're not listening to the passion and to the project. Yeah. And, like, what's going on right now and all the stuff going, like, this is a lot of stuff going on right now. Yeah. And it's like, if you're not getting in on it now, good luck later. Like, by the time the videos are already coming out, like, I'll already have booked, like, the first year. Yeah. So it's like, good luck, you know? It's like, I mean, sure, you can record an episode, but it won't be seen for 52 weeks. You know, it's like, and so it's like all these people, I had issues right at the beginning where they're like, oh, well, you know, like, I want to see your work first. Like, you need to have substantial audiences. Yeah. And like, well, who am I broadcasting to? It's like, shouldn't it? Like, I mean, I understand your time is valuable. And it's like, and like, obviously, like, thank you so much for coming and being on the show. Like, no worries, man. Like, you get to share your own thing, but like, at the same time, like, you're also becoming part of my thing, which is like, it goes both ways and is important there, you know? But like, I don't know, like, I don't think people actually put into perspective how much work goes into that beforehand. And Absolutely. Sure, you can stress out and do it every week. That's totally doable. There are creators that literally, like, wake up, make a video, edit it, publish it that night. Mm-hmm. That's how they live their life. Yeah. That's totally cool too, but they're probably a lot more stressed out than I am. Yeah. I'm not stressed out at all. I have time to think about all these elaborate strategies and campaigns and new projects and creative ventures because I'm not stressing out because I work everything in the future. You know, it's like I automate it out into the future so that way, like, it stays consistent. It stays getting out there. So no matter which distribution platform I'm focused on at the time, if I want to write my book, which I have 2 books I'm writing on now, a nonfiction and a fiction. Yeah.
It's more so like I used to journal every day.
Okay.
And so now like instead of doing that, I just work on the book.
Got it.
It's like still writing, but like a different platform of writing, you know.
Got it.
One of the books is a realistic nonfiction or realistic fiction. Which one means not real?
I think it's the opposite. So I think fictional is not real.
Okay, so realistic fiction. Yeah, realistic fiction. So it's not real, but it's based on real events.
Okay.
I don't know. I get the two of those confused all the time, but whatever the case may be, I think you're right. I think it's realistic fiction because I think it's opposite of what you would think it is or whatever. One of them is like it's essentially what would have happened to me if I wasn't so positive. So like if things would have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Because there were very distinct things. Like I had a very bad childhood, not all of it, but there were very bad traumatic things that happened to me when I was a kid. And it's basically like what would have happened if I didn't get the positive resolution to those things.
Yeah.
And that's what the book ventures into, which is super dark and heavy, but it makes for good reading. And like I said, it's fictional, so it's just a nice story.
Yeah.
And then I'm also writing a nonfiction book, which is all about how to do what I do and manage everything and keep your head on straight.
Nice.
And like, you know, people like ask Elon Musk all the time, like, how do you focus on so many things at once?
Yeah.
I genuinely think there's some sort of mutation, and I don't think that I'm a genius or anything at the level of Elon Musk because he's obviously a lot older. He's been more experienced, done different studies. But I do think that my mind works the same way in the aspect that my mind never shuts up. It's about different things, but it never shuts up. Like the reason I don't sleep at night is because of the fact that literally until I pass out, I'm sitting there, gears turning, coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
And then when I am so exhausted that I can't stay awake anymore, I pass out. And then in my dreams, I come up with ideas.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
And I live through, like, I'm really weird, whereas, like, I remember most of my dreams.
Wow.
It's like, I like, literally go through scenarios, not on purpose, obviously, but in my dreams, I go through scenarios, like, of all of these ideas. And I actually do them in my dreams, like, over and over and over. And then I'll wake up and it's like, okay, well, I just saw like 100 possible outcomes for like what, like I feel like I wake up in the morning and I'm like Dr. Strange.
Hey, I was gonna mention that, dude.
Yeah, like that's my life, dude. That's what it feels like.
Man. It's funny.
I don't know, like I feel like maybe it's either a mutation, you know, like on a genealogical level that was because of like birth, you know, that kind of a gene, like in my DNA, or I think it might be adaptive genes. So like you can you know how your genes and your DNA adapts as you live your life. Like there's a guy that swims the strait like in between Europe and the country, you know what I mean, like where there's like Britain and like
you get like over to like the water and stuff.
Yeah, he like swims back and forth every day, once a day, every single day. It's longer than a full marathon every single day.
Dang.
And because of that, his body is literally like adapted.
Aquaman.
Yeah, like his body is literally adapted to where he can withstand more pressure and like go to deeper temperatures and hold his breath for longer than a normal human being can, and like all of these things. I 100% think that computers have the same effect. Maybe not like the same kind of effect, but I 100% think that my brain works differently because of the fact that I was on computers so much as a kid.
Got it.
And the way that I was on computers. Because I was never the kind of person that was just like, oh, this was fun, it's keeping me occupied. It was like, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
What can I use this for? Like, I think of everything pretty much as a tool. And it's like, what does this do? Like, what does this get me? You know, it's like, and then I utilize it to the full extent. It was like when I was a kid, I was making websites and like making videos, and even though I only had a webcam and a cell phone, I was making videos in 2008 on YouTube. You know?
Man, yes, early on.
Yeah, and honestly, I wish I wouldn't have stopped because I think that I might because of the way that like I understand the industry.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have stopped making them, I think there's a good chance that my videos would probably be a lot more popular. Like I would probably be maybe not like at the top.
Yeah.
But I think I would easily at least have 100,000 subscribers, which you can make a full-time job out of, no problem.
Absolutely, man. It's funny you mentioned that because people think that YouTubers, they just vlog about their lives, right?
Right.
But you know, I have I have an office at a co-working space, and I used to be there a lot until like the running joke was that these kids came in and they took the crown, right? Because it's 24/7, you pay for it, you work when you want to,
right? And
like sometimes these kids would be like in their PJs, like eating cereal. I'm like, dude, like you guys like it's a dorm room, right?
Yeah.
And they were vlogger, so they knew that like this transition where my camera like goes into like a marshmallow bag and it spins back out.
Yeah.
Like that 10-second clip took me like 2 hours to do, right?
Yeah.
But they know that because of their audience and the engagement, it has to go live every day at like 10 o'clock or wherever it is. So like I respect the hustle because people think, oh, they're just like blogging about their life. But I'm like, dude, you know how many people, like thousands or millions of people do it, and the pinnacle of the ones who make it big are the ones who you see, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but there's a lot of people like with kind of elaborating on that point, like with 100,000 followers, or not like subscribers on YouTube,
yeah,
you can easily have a full-time income with that. Even in like Southern California, you can easily have a full-time income with that. Like if you don't know what you're doing and you're listening to me say that and you're like, what? You can what? I don't understand. How is that possible? Literally just go on YouTube right now, whatever you're interested in, type how to make money on YouTube, right? Watch the first page of results that come up. Just watch every video. Then watch how to make money on YouTube doing, and then write what it is that you're doing and that you want to do. And just watch literally just like the first page of results. Yeah. If you have like a day, which most people do, if you usually listen to music when you work, just substitute like a day of listening to music to just watch these videos and just have them playing in the background, right?
Absolutely, man.
Like that's it. It's linking, affiliate linking. It's sharing the products that you use. Yeah. It's sponsorships, which again is just linking. Yeah. Share, like it's all linking. That's it. You just put the links in the right spot, and then people go to the links, and you get paid for it. That's what happens. Yeah. That's the short end.
I think I follow. I don't watch all the episodes, but when I have time, from a marketing point of view, right? Like there are car bloggers, right? Yeah. And they'll. The sexy part is that they talk about their lives, how like one of them is like, oh, I have a degree in engineering. It was either get an engineering job or try this out. He just, I think when he first started, he just went to like a local car dealerships and asked if he can just like talk about the car, the history, and no charge, right? Just to gain traction. Yeah. And then he got big, and then like he moved out here, I think from Michigan to like to SoCal, and it's doing pretty well, like over 1 million subs, right? Nice. And like they're able to live life on their term, which is kudos to them. Like you're you took that risk early on in your 20s, and now you're able to kind of now it's sexy because you're now flying in 2 different countries and you're experiencing you're experiencing your lifestyle and you're recording it for your audience to see.
Exactly.
Right?
And see, here's the thing too. If you want to live a life where you're a creator and what you do is you get paid to make content, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, if what you love to do is create, you can postpone making the projects you want to be making, right? Or continue making the projects you want to be making and just understand that may not be the thing that gives you a check at the end of the day, right? You can very easily make money by making videos that people want to see and use that money to fund what you want to do. Yeah. Because ultimately, you can spend one day on a project, like when I work on clients, and I make videos for people, like I do videography work with a company or whatever, or brand or whatever, generally speaking, it only takes at most maybe a day, like maybe 8 hours total, because it's probably like 3-4 hours to do like pre-production, shooting, like getting to you, like all that kind of stuff. Like you got to calculate like conversations on the phone, like setting everything up, like probably 3, 4, maybe 5 of that hours is like the actual shooting and filming and getting that part done. And then whenever you're editing, like that only takes like 2-3 hours at most, right? And that can go longer if you have like a crazy project, but for just basic client work, 2-3 hours. It's like you can finish an entire project in 8 hours easy. Yeah. So it's like whenever you think about it that way, literally go on YouTube, look up things that you want to know how to do until you find something that you can't find a video for. Yeah. And then make a video about that. Yeah. And that's it. It's like that's how you make money on YouTube. Is you make evergreen content that teaches people how to do things that can stand like outside of time. So it's like you don't say, here's how I fix this year's model of an iPhone. You say, here's how you fix a phone, and these steps can be applied no matter what generation you're using. Yeah. So then it doesn't matter. It's just iPhone fixing tutorial. It's not iPhone 6 fixing tutorial. So then every person clicks on it. Yeah. So it's important, and it's also like Gary Vee says this a lot too. It's not romanticizing the content. Yep. Because ultimately, if you want to build yourself to be a content creator, you have to do what you have to do to earn your paychecks. Yeah. And because you got to live your life. Yeah. But whenever you do kind of what I'm saying, or even other avenues, and you earn your money outside of your audience, it also keeps the interaction authentic. Because if you earn all of your money from your audience, then they're going to expect a certain quality from you, and if you don't supply, then they're going to cut, right, which you don't want.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, it's going to show that you're desperate to earn their money in your content. Because you know, if you're in between checks and you need this video to work out so that your next check is where you need it to be to cover your bills, then that's going to show. You know, like that's very obvious in a video. When you're making a video, the way that I like to put it is you're doing what you believe will make you money, not what you truly believe in. And that definitely shows, especially in video, because video captures all the little nuances that you, like in conversation, like all the things we're sitting here talking and everything. It catches all those little and the like little glances and the thoughts and like all of those little facial features and stuff that people make. You can't talk about something that you're not interested in, that you just think is BS, and make it come off as authentic.
Absolutely.
It's always going to show.
Yeah, I think it's important to brand yourself, like, you know, like with affiliate links or whatever, with stuff that aligns with you, right?
Exactly.
And I see that goes wrong. Like, I have friends who are, you know, like they started off with a fashion page on IG, on Instagram, and they get sponsorships. But it's like their whole look change. I'm like, dude, like, I mean, offline, like, if you weren't getting paid to wear that, I know you wouldn't wear it.
Exactly.
Because now it's just getting the bucks, right?
Yep.
So now that might throw off your audience a little bit. Whereas I feel like if you're authentic and you could brand yourself that way, that's probably the most powerful route.
Absolutely. And honestly, there's no reason why you should be partnering with someone that you don't use.
Yeah.
Because everyone has an affiliate program.
Yeah.
You know, like the music that I put in my videos, Epidemic Sound has an affiliate program.
Yeah.
Adobe has affiliate links through Amazon where I can get paid for you to sign up and start using Premiere Pro because that's what I use or whatever. And like literally anything. It's like, those are not my products. It's not literally, you're not paying me. The company is paying me for sending you to them.
Yeah, you're the marketer for that. It's like, I use this camera and this video is what you see. If you guys like it, click the link below to buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even not even that. Like, I put links in my videos where people just see the gear that I use to make the content.
Nice.
So for example, like if you're watching this on YouTube right now, then down in the description there is a kit link. And in that kit link it actually breaks down the camera that I use, the microphones I use, the lighting setup that I use, every accessory, my lens, the apps, the software that I pay for and that I use on a monthly basis, like all of that is in my kit link, and you can just directly click on it and sign up for it. And like I do get affiliation payment back for that, but like that, again, not from you, that is from the company. And they pay me a percentage of that, of what when you buy something, they pay me a percentage of that for sending you to them.
Absolutely, man.
And with Amazon, if you do Amazon affiliate links, it doesn't even matter if they buy the thing, right? So like, if let's say that you're watching a video and you're like, oh, that's a really good quality, what kind of camera do they use? Click. All right, that camera is $3,000. I am not buying that camera. Click. I wonder what the deals on Amazon are. You just search on some Amazon deals and you end up buying some random shit like a toothbrush and some shirts and whatever. Because you went to Amazon through my affiliate link, I still get part of that payout from Amazon. So it's like, there's no reason, you know? It's like, as long as you're being diligent and you're doing the work to put the information there, every time. You know, it's like the money is not like that hard to come by, guys. Like, it seems hard when you don't have it, and it's easy to say like, oh well, I don't have any money so I can't make any money, because you know, that's like the common thought and everything. But it's like I just said earlier, and like what Gary Vee talks about all the time, go on Craigslist free section and then immediately take those things, go on eBay, go on Amazon, go on LetGo, and sell them. You go buy something for 25 cents at a garage sale, because you physically go look for garage sales. 25 cents at a garage sale, you turn around and sell for $200 because it's a vintage item. And there's collectors out there that want to pay for that.
And I think you have to be humble to do that, because that's what I learned from my mentor, right? It's like, when you're humble, like, that is such like breathtaking, right? Because he says at this time he was fighting his addictions, and he already made like tons of money. And he met a guy. He's like, you know, I tried to get clean myself, but I couldn't do it. And I was introduced to this guy, and he told me to go mop the floor. And I was like, at that point in my life, like I have assistants who tie my ties for me, right? Like, because he's very like busy and well off,
right?
And he was like, whatever, I'm gonna humble myself and do what he says. So the lesson he taught me was, if you're trying to do something else that you haven't done and you're trying to copy someone else, like, don't think you're too good to do whatever they say.
Yeah.
So going back to your example, so like, you know, if you're a white collar worker and you're making, you know, $20-$30 an hour, whatever it is, I'm just making up numbers, and now you're like, man, if I go to Craigslist and pick up free stuff, I might be only making $30 profit out of this, right?
Right.
But it's like, that's just a stepping stone, right?
Exactly. And also, how many of those $30 gains are you making? Because if you really want to break it down, what is the percentage gain on a 25-cent investment that sells for $30?
Yeah, you can. It's like 10. No, like.
And you scale that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you don't just keep doing the one transaction, the one transaction, the one transaction.
Yeah.
You go on Craigslist, you get a bunch of free shit. You do it all on one day, and then you turn around and you sell all of those for like $30 a piece.
Yeah.
And then the money that you make from that, you go on eBay and you buy a bunch of cheap shit because it's on sale, or it's on like a bid or whatever. You literally, while it's being shipped to you, or like you bid on something, right? You turn around and you post it on Amazon for full price.
Yeah.
That is so easy. Like, that doesn't even require any work at all. You literally buy something on eBay for a bidded auction price, right? So it's less than the price of what it actually sells for normally, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that you buy it low enough so that the return is good.
Yeah.
And then you just buy it cheap on eBay, go on Amazon, copy the pictures that you just used when you just bought it on eBay, save those pictures, go on Amazon, upload the exact same thing, just literally copy verbatim, because there's no copyright laws with eBay and Amazon. Like, it's products, so it can actually be verbatim what it says there.
Yeah.
Copy what it says on eBay, put it on Amazon, make $300 on a $20 thing that you bought.
Yeah, dude, there's so many ways you can skin a cat. Like, you know,
or warehouse drop shipments.
Yeah, absolutely, right. Drop ship, that means that you're the marketer. When someone buys the stuff from your website, a fulfillment somewhere sends this part on your behalf, and you're
that's cool. That's not what I was talking about. Like, I'm talking about like warehouse drop shipping for Amazon and eBay.
Oh, I got like FBA.
Yeah. They do these things now where you can literally buy crates, like buy boxes for like $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just random return stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no telling what's in there. Like, you could buy it for $50 and there's like nothing in there. It's like a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
But I mean, even 50 things that only sell for $1. You'll break even at least, you know, and the chances of there being at least one thing in there that's valuable, super high. I watched a video where this guy literally bought 50 of them, like 50 different of the crates, and he just one by one, just on video live, just cut, went down and opened up every single one of them.
Nice.
Almost every single one of them had at least one item that was worth double what he paid for the crate.
Nice.
Almost every single one of them. Like Star Trek toys, like old Lego sets, like statues, bobbleheads, like sports paraphernalia, like anything that is not on the television right now, like old Nickelodeon cartoons.
Oh man,
like,
that's so cool. Yeah.
Like all that stuff. It sells for a lot now.
Yeah.
Because nobody sees it anymore. It's disappeared from society. So like, if you can pull it out of the past and like bring it, like they're like, oh snap, I want to, this is so expensive now, this is so valuable. It's like even the stuff around your house, you know, like let's say you don't want to go on Craigslist, you don't want to deal with all this stuff. Okay, start in your own home. How much stuff do you have in your house that you actually need? You know, like I've got 2 guitars. If shit started really hitting the fan, one of them's gonna go. You know, it's like I've got two lights. If shit hits the fan, I'm gonna sell one of them. You know, it's like I'm gonna keep what I need to do what I need to do. But like, if you need the money, or if you want to progress and you want to invest in something like make a business for yourself, you can come up with a couple $100 to start a website, build a brand. Like, you can literally build an entire merch brand for like $100. You know, like, that's it, because you can use Shopify, which is $30, and the first month is free. So you don't, like, boom, you pay $30 and you got 2 months, and it's like $30 a month after that or something like that for the basic plan. And then you have your website, so you pay for that like once a year. You got your hosting, and then you've got your domain, so you're probably looking at $50, you know, with all that for like the whole year. You know, it's like, okay, so you spent $80 and then you use like Printful or something and design all of your merch
print
for
on
free.
Demand.
Yeah. So you don't pay to get that and put it in a warehouse. It's print on demand. You like design all of your merch. People order it and it goes directly to them.
Yep.
And it's like you get to literally build an entire brand for less than $100.
Yeah.
So like, what?
Yeah. I think the hardest part is probably getting started because, you know, like we talked about, it's funny how like I see commercials like build a website with 3 clicks, right? Like their domain, get hosting and sell stuff online. While that may be true, there's like a learning curve to it, which is not hard. I mean, like you can Google anything nowadays, like YouTube videos. Like I did that when I first.
YouTube is your friend.
Yeah, like you can YouTube anything, man. I YouTube how to drive a snow before I went to Minneapolis, right? I know, it was like an old school video.
I was watching one of Peter McKinnon's new videos, and he was in a canoe. Well, I guess it's not new now; it's probably like a month old now. But that when this airs, literally he got into a canoe, and then he like had never gotten out of one or something like that. And he was like, "Oh snap! How do I get out of a canoe? Should I watch a YouTube video? Is there a YouTube video on how to get out of a canoe?"
That's funny, man.
Yeah. What would you say is like your favorite or like most impactful thing you've learned from YouTube?
From YouTube?
Yeah.
Man.
Or online in general.
Online, it's if you're authentic, you can make friends anywhere, right? Because when I grew up, I was very introverted, and I was a bigger person. Like, you know, I was Asian without the Asian genes, so I gained all the weight while my friends didn't, right? Yeah. So I was pre-med, like I was a bio major, so very scientific. I had like 5 friends in college, and I thought that was it, like my 5 friends for life. And then I had to make new friends, right? So talking to people was hard for me at first, but then you find that whatever your common interest is, whether you like cars, music, you know, like certain things you can connect with people. You can find friends wherever you go as long as you're being authentic. And I feel like at this point, I'll have a conversation with you without a hidden agenda, right? Just to be friends. And I feel like the internet just broadened that. Just how I met people across the country. And at first they were just like my fashion friends, but we grew up in our 20s together, right? We talked about getting laid off, we talked about asking for pay increases. So like it became like, wow, like even though they're halfway across the country, I talk to them almost every day, right? So at this point, I always tell like a friend is a friend to me. Doesn't matter if we met at a Starbucks, we connected online or whatever, and like, you know, whatever I can do for them, let me know, because I believe that it's that being nice to people just for the sake of being nice, because I know a lot of people where they're like, why are we connecting? Like, what do you do? Like, what's in it for me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I never.
I was talking about like when I was putting together the podcast, like all the people that were like, oh, what do you have?
Yeah, it's like I go in with no expectations because I never knew I was gonna find his mentor. I just wanted to buy lunch, right? Just to hear a story, like 2 hours. That was it, right? And even now, like reaching out to people, and like they're like, oh, this guy's a cool guy. Like we talked for like a month, right? And, like he never mentioned his business, and maybe like like maybe they'll ask you like, what do you do? Like how can I help you, right? So I'm pretty big on organic relationships, which I know that to some people they may not think that it's important, but one of my favorite companies I look up to is Zappos, right? So Zappos, they sell shoes, like. When they first started, I don't think they even had their own brand. They was just selling Nikes or whatever it is. But I first heard about them in like 2011, where a lady, it was on a business magazine, where a lady bought a pair of shoes for her husband, and during the time he had unfortunately passed away. So she was like, hey, I have no use for the shoes. Can I return them? So they say, you know what? Keep the shoes, donate them to a local cause. We'll give you your money back. And they also sent flowers, just to kind of grief. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. And
it is really cool, actually.
Yeah, and this was in 2011, where if you use the chat feature, they encouraged all their employees to have their own voice. So it's not like hello, whatever, right? It's not like very it's not very corporate like. Yeah. So I went to Vegas and I toured their headquarters, and they have the tour anyone can take. You see everything, and no one has an office. Even like the CEO has a desk, right? Mm-hmm. They have 2 offices, which is one for legal and one for a mentoring department. And one of the quotes that I really liked was by the CEO, Tony Shaw. I may have pronounced his last name, but it says people always measure the ROI, but what's the ROI on hugging your mom, right? So like,
it's true.
Yeah, it's like you don't like. You meet people organically, and it's like, man, like this guy's a cool guy, and like your network becomes their network.
Exactly.
Right. So you don't know if like this guy might know a friend who can help you because you're his friend.
You also have no idea who that person's going to become.
Absolutely.
Because literally, you see these stories. Like a lot can happen in 10 years. Mm-hmm. A lot, right? I've seen people go for not seen people like literally like where I knew them or anything, but I've seen their stories, like watched along, like. The guy that was the homeless guy that had the voice. Do you remember that guy? He was he had like the perfect radio voice. Oh. And it was like this huge thing. Like literally somebody just randomly drives by this guy, pulls out a camera and records this guy, and then he goes on and like becomes this super famous vocal speaker and everything because he was a homeless man that was sharing his passion, which was voice talent, and sharing his voice and like the way that he spoke and everything like that. Yeah. And then because of the fact that he was consistently sharing that, someone just recorded it one day, and boom, 10 years later, all the people that were shitty to him when he had nothing,
they came
10
back.
years later, come back, and he's like, who are you guys?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? I'm not going to help you. Like, you were literally making my life a living hell 10 years ago whenever I had nothing, and now that I have everything, you want to come back?
Yeah.
You have to treat everyone like they have everything, honestly. That's the way I live my life.
Yeah.
Because at any minute, anyone could have everything.
Yeah.
And also, money doesn't mean anything. Money just means that someone put in a little bit more time, or they just had a strategy that worked. That's all that means.
Yeah.
Like, money is a currency, and it's like, that's it. It's like everything has its own value. Like you said, what's the ROI on hugging your mom?
Yeah.
Like, one person that puts in all the time and energy into making that dollar, like if that's what matters at the end of the day to them, and at the end of the day, they have all this money. Okay, well, how are their relationships?
Yeah.
Like, how do they talk to their family?
Yeah.
Do they have a significant other? Like, are they planning on having a legacy and like, branching on and having kids, and like, or are they stuck to themselves? Like, what kind of person are they? Like, what kind of stuff are they interested in? Do they want to help the world, or they want to just do something that makes? It's like there's so many things, and like. It's a definite, I definitely think it's a strength and a superpower to be able to have empathy and be able to like really connect with someone else and understand where they're coming from, And I don't think people that are just focused on money and like think that is the indicator of success. I don't know. I can't understand that mentality, It's like, yeah, money is cool, but like it's not an indicator of success because money can be won through luck.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with success. It can also be won through birth.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I can be born into money. It doesn't mean that I was successful or that I even know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, like, if I'm born into a family that has hundreds of millions of dollars, which isn't the case for me, but, like, if I was, it doesn't matter if I have a good idea or not. I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's like... it's like, and then other people would look at me and be like, oh, you're so successful. I want to copy your life. But if I'm just slacking around not doing literally anything because I'm feeding off my family's inheritance, they're going to copy my life, and then they're not going to get any money because I didn't do... My actions are not the reason that I have this money.
Yeah.
My family's actions are. So if you want to copy their actions, maybe you'll get that money and maybe you'll get that success. But what happens is you have these people that fall into the money. Yeah. And then everyone looks at them and says, I want to copy your life so I can have that money. But their life, the steps that they took, like you said, when you were going on that ladder and taking those steps, they're not going to take those steps. They're going to look at someone that went a different way and they just had it handed to them, copy them, and then they're going to get a different result.
Absolutely.
Because, like, to get that result, you have to do the steps.
Yeah.
Leading all the way back to what you said in the very beginning. Like, if you have a goal, there are actions that it takes to get there, and there is multiple journeys, there are multiple ways, absolutely, but there are specific actions that you have to do to get to a certain goal.
Yeah, I think I love the conversation, and I think my last piece I can add to you is probably feeding back on what you were saying. Ultimately, you have to like love yourself first.
Yeah.
And then you have to go for your goals, no matter how crazy they are, and put the blinders on, because your friends may think your goals are very like stupid. Or I mean, if you have big goals, then they should think that way, right?
Yeah.
But also, know that it's your journey. It's not anyone else's, and no two journeys are alike. So even if you buy a course on how to become a millionaire in 3 months, you know, it's not a clear cut, because they'll say like income disclaimer, right? Income may vary, whatever it is.
Exactly.
And especially the younger crowd, like a lot of the young kids, they see Instagram, Snapchat, and they see like that's the like the measuring stick, right? But a lot of stuff is just smoke and mirror. Like the cars can be rented, the models could be, you know, like also paid by the hours, right? And
you can also get boosted likes. You can
exactly
get all the views. You can have
right.
all that stuff. Just pay like $10 a month, and you can have 1 million subscribers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're comparing yourself to an image or a profile of a person you never met, you may be comparing yourself to a person that doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on a goal, and let's say you're trying to build, we're talking about YouTube, you're trying to build your brand on YouTube, and you're comparing yourself to like other people who are at 2-3 million followers, you have to compare if you have to compare yourself to them when they were where you were started at 10.
Yeah, the industry itself changes too.
Yeah.
You know, because like back then they had to do different things than we have to do.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same steps as what they had to do. Like 5 years ago when they started making content, they had to do like a whole other many hurdles. Like to build a website at one point, you literally had to call somebody, and, like, fax in information and all that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, man. But going like whatever it is that the audience or whomever watching, listening wants to do, like man, it's your life, right? You get one shot at life. Yeah. You gotta go for it.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends, he was telling me, it's like, dude, we're all gonna die one day. We just don't know when it is. But let's say like if there's a counter on your arm, like counting down the minutes you have left, I guarantee you will like maximize your day because it's counting down. Like it's gonna hit 0 at one point, right? Yeah. We just don't know when it is. But if you know, like, oh shit, it's like 10 more years. Yeah. Hopefully not, but like you're gonna maximize the time. So, and it's also important to surround yourself with good people, and that, like with traditional households, like Asians in particular, where your family's your family, but like you were saying, if your family isn't supportive, then in my opinion, you have to cut the cancer out. Yeah. Right? Like you can't try to do something big and have someone push you down at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you have negative, and I don't remember where I heard this from, I want to say it was Gary Vee, but it could have been from somebody else. It could have been like Joe Rogan, actually. I don't know. Actually maybe it was Gary Vee. I don't know. Somebody inspirational. Basically, they said that if you have negative thoughts in your head about the actions that you're passionate about, and you have something in your head that's telling you can't do it, somebody else put that there. Yeah. And it takes positivity, and it takes mental wellness. It takes taking care of yourself and putting those good, positive thoughts into your head. Yeah. It takes that for you to have the positive outlook on yourself. It doesn't just happen. Right. You don't just wake up and go from being the world's most negative person to being like, oh, well, I'm just going to be positive about everything. Yeah. You have to take that on a daily basis. Like if you go in your bedroom and you spend an hour reading positive articles and watching good videos and stuff that makes you feel good, but then you walk out of your bedroom and you yell at the next person you see, like you're yelling at your kids or your wife or like your friends, it's like you're angry at like yelling going down in traffic, yelling at the cars in front of you. You like get angry and like let all these negative things, like you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. You just let it weigh on you all throughout the day. Yeah. That hour means nothing. Yeah. You have to constantly, like, you don't allow negativity to have a space. You allow logic to have a space, which can be taken negatively. Yeah. But you don't allow negativity. Negativity for the sake of negativity is never going to get you anywhere. Yeah. Negativity because, like, you actually think through your actions and you realize, oh, maybe that's not the best thing to do in the world, and you kind of feel bad about that. Yeah. That's normal. That's empathy. You're feeling bad because you're realizing you almost made a decision to do this to someone else. Yeah. So that's why you're feeling bad. Yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like when you have those, like, you can't do this, you won't succeed, like, you can't. That's really the biggest hurdle, is that you can't do something. Yeah. And it's like, if you step out and you have all these other negative influences, all you're going to have inside of you is negativity. So when you open your mouth in front of a camera or in front of a podcast or in front of a person, then all that's going to come out is negativity, because you put out into the world what you put into yourself. Yeah. Because like ultimately that's all you are. It's just a bunch of information and experiences like all bubbling around, and those come out in different ways. Yeah. And we express ourselves.
Absolutely.
So, coming on to the end of this, what are some of the things that you wanted to like let people know about? So if, let's say I'm listening to this, you sound awesome, I want to learn more about you. Where's the best place to go?
Yeah, so I guess you can go to my website. It's Wisith J.com. Awesome. And that has like my social button pages. So I'm pretty active on Facebook, Instagram. I think those are 2 platforms. And yeah, like if I can be of any service to anyone, like, let me know. Because I get calls sometimes like it's a friend of a friend, right? I'm like, North Carolina. Like, I'm not sure what I'll talk to him, right? Yeah. So like, I go back to saying that a friend is a friend to me. So even if you guys have like no one to support you, you can always find support groups. So like if you're a cartoon artist in like the boonies somewhere and you have no friends, I'm sure there are Facebook groups for that. Yeah. Right? You can go to meetups for that, Eventbrite for that, right? That's how I found, because when I first started, I was like the weird one, because all my friends were like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing, man? So I'm like, I can't be the only one, right? So I started going to like networking events and started making friends. Like, oh, okay, like these guys are on the same journeys as me. Yeah. And
that's actually a really good point. What you just said about about like going to events and meetups and stuff. Honestly, like I have felt for my entire life like that I'm the only person that does this stuff. Yeah. Right? And it's like obviously other people do this because there's all this content online. But then like everyone that I know is completely like not interested or against it, like doing it themselves, It's like, that's the beauty of the internet, is that there are these hundreds or thousands of people that are constantly making content, but they might be spread out. Like they're spread out over the whole world, or over the whole country. So it's like, you may have you may have a big group of people that are just like you, but they're spread out. And so like when you look around your local immediate area, especially if you don't live somewhere like here, like if you live where I grew up in like Georgia or Arkansas or Oklahoma, like none of them were like, I had like 3 people that I knew that I was friends with that were interested in making films and video, and like that was something they were interested in. Everybody else told me that was a waste of time. Yeah.
And I think it goes back to your life, man, because you don't want to be like 80, 90, looking back, like, man, what if I made that jump, right? What if I did this? If you tried and you like, what, I thought it was going to be different, but I don't like it, that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, if on my website, I'm branding myself videos like what I'm into. So like, tips on mental wellness, getting better sleep, eating better food, and stuff like that, as well as just like my own thoughts about like knickknacks and giving back to charities and whatever else. So feel free to connect. I love connecting with new people. That's how I made my closest friends. So whatever I can do for you guys, reached out, and just go and live your dreams, man. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, this has been a great episode. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Of course, man.
Yeah, go check out his stuff, and we'll see you next time. See you guys later. If you like this episode of the podcast, please be sure to hit the subscribe button or follow on whatever your listening application of choice may be. That way you can get notifications every single Wednesday when we upload a brand new episode. If you're listening to this via audio podcast format, you can watch the video on YouTube, DTube, or pretty much any other platform where video can be natively distributed. Please be sure to like, comment, and share so that we can get the conversation rolling and really build out a community of like-minded professionals so that we can all learn from each other and share our stories. Links to all the products that I use to make this content are down in the description below, as well as all of the links for Wisith and everything that we talked about in this episode. And if you would like to further show your support for the channel, you can find the information on how you can become a direct supporter on Patreon, or you can visit my website at shopmichaelbisbell.com and support me through buying some awesome new merch items. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Wednesday Wanderer. I look forward to seeing you back here next week.